Hey y'all, I'm back once again in the same day in the same outfit. You can figure out anything different from my last two videos. Points for you. Anyway, today I kind of wanted to do a video about my weird, horrible, crazy retail experiences. I don't know. I just left a retail job yesterday. For some personal reasons, I decided, I started realizing working retail, I've only had 2 retail jobs, and it just pretty much proved to me that I am not a people person. I cannot work with people. I don't like working with the general public. I don't. So I I left. I was like, you know what, it's not gonna work out. I don't know, and it's weird. It's oh my god, I have a piece of hair from one of my makeup brushes on my forehead. But anyway, I just kind of realized that, retail just isn't for me. At least not right now. And so I kind of left, and I just was thinking about the last retail place that I worked and stuff like that, and a lot of stuff that just happened at these jobs that just did not sit well with me and just was not the best experience. So I decided, tell y'all some of my stories. Oh, goodness. So I'm just gonna go into it and start off with the first story. My first story, I was kind of late in the job world. I didn't get my first job until I was 19. I'm 20 now, and I mean, it was my first official go in to work job. I had done online stuff. I did reviews for websites and stuff like that. That's what I had always done, where I didn't really have to work with people. I would talk to people. Basically, the job that my first official job was, basically I would and sorry if you guys hear kids, my nephews are over and they are so loud and obnoxious. But anyway, basically I would be on my computer. People would contact the company if they had a website or whatever that they needed assistance or whatever on, and they needed help, and they would pay to have someone look at their website, review it, tell them what they're doing wrong, what they need to fix, and we'd get paid for that. That's easy. Whatever. You didn't even have to talk to the person. You basically just looked at their website, said, okay, you need to fix this, this, and this, and then you record yourself, record a video of you looking at the site. You'd record your screen of you looking at the site, and you point out the things that need to be fixed. Fine. It was good money, and it was I didn't have to talk to people. It was easy, and so I became kind of I liked it. And eventually, one thing for that site that I was working for was you had to have an up-to-date cell phone or whatever, and I have iPhone, and they, you could use only iPhone or Android. Certain Androids, certain brands of phones that you could use. You couldn't use Windows phones, but you could use HTCs, Galaxies, and stuff like that. And they would never update the apps for the iPhones. There was an app that you had to use for some of the jobs, because you also rated apps and stuff, and they just never it took them, they just updated the app for iPhone users 3 days ago, literally, and this is a year later. So I had to quit because I wasn't making money. They weren't fixing what needed to be fixed. So I just was whatever, I'll go do something else. So around the holidays, I'd been applying for jobs for so long, I just wasn't getting any feedback or anything like that. So around November, I just went on a spree one night, and I was I'm gonna apply to everywhere that I can apply to. So I applied to so many places, and one place that I have been applying to, this place since I was in freaking high school. And you start, you can start working, I don't know where it is, where everyone else is, but where I live, you can start working at 15, but you can only work 3 hours a day. You can't work a whole lot of hours. So I've been applying to this one place since I was 15 years old and just never got anything. They called me back the next day, and they're like, oh, hi, we saw you just filled out the application, and we're just wondering if you're still interested in a job with us. And I was well, duh, because I just filled it out last night. I didn't change my mind that quick, whatever. And I was yeah, definitely. So they're okay, we're gonna call you this day to do a phone interview, and then if things go well with that, we're gonna take you on to the next leg of the interview journey. Okay, got the job. I did the over the phone interview, I did an in-person interview, got the job, started orientation, started the next day. This is my very first story, how it kind of was brought about. So Very first day, I started on a Saturday, and I was training on the cash register. I was hired for hard lines, which is like restocking shelves and taking back like old merchandise, putting it back in its space, that type of thing. You know, had never worked on a cash register, like a real like computer cash register or anything like that. Never really done that because I never really had a job that made me do that. So did that, and the girl that was supposed to be training me was not at work, which I later learned that she never showed up to work. That is a whole nother story within itself about that job. I could do like a whole video about that one job. I digress. So they basically passed me around to a lot of different workers. They're like, oh, just train her, you know, because so-and-so isn't here, and if so-and-so comes on, then you send her to so-and-so. So one of the first lady that I trained with, I was in the guest services area, which is customer service at this particular store. They call it guest service because you can't refer to customers as customers at the store. So I am doing the I mean, it's a Saturday where it's busy. People are always coming in, buying stuff, returning stuff, all this type of stuff. Don't put people on register their very first day on a Saturday or Sunday. Those are the busiest days in stores, and it's not a good idea. Anyway, I, you know, was going back. Oh, goodness. And that lady left. It was time for her to go. So I got passed to the next lady. This lady was so nice. She was like a middle-aged black lady. She was, you know, she was just really nice and stuff. And she was telling me about the job and everything. And like I said, we were at the customer service desk. But at the customer service desk, you could also check out people if the other lines were full. So this like kind of older white guy, he was probably like middle-aged, like his like mid-40s, just like the lady. He had on like these dirty overalls. He comes up to the register. He has like a Star Wars blanket. Now this is around Christmas time where the new Star Wars movie was coming out, and they had all the little Star Wars toys and everything Star Wars basically. He has a Star Wars blanket, and it's like, you know, the blankets that are like rolled up. And it was kind of thick. It was like kind of, it might have been like a full size for a full size bed or a twin bed. And he walks up and she's like, hi sir, how are you? And you know, she said in the front of the bush, she's like, hi sir, how are you? He throws it at her chest. It hits her in the chest. And he's like, like that. It's like, I'm just looking like, did he really just do that? Like, you know, I'm like, you know, am I missing something? Did he really just throw this at this woman? He did. And so she's like, okay, you know, she rings it up. She's like, he sees his price, he pays before she can like tell him. He sticks his card in, and she's like, and you have a great day, sir. And he's like, and I was just like, what is his problem? What is wrong with this man? I'm like, that's rude. And she was just like, and then sometimes you'll have customers like that who make you want to punch them in the face, but you need your job. I was just crazy. Okay, so that was my first story. Now my second story. The second story was also in the same day. After this lady left, I got passed to the next coworker to train me at the customer service desk. This man, this guy, and this woman, I guess it was his girlfriend, wife, baby mama, whatever. They walk in and they have a, he has a Walmart bag. Mind you, this isn't a Walmart where I was working. He had a Walmart bag. Okay, that's the first thing that's kind of weird. Like, why you have a Walmart bag in here, sir? What are you doing? So he walks in, he and the lady walk in together. They have like 2 kids in their cart. The 2 kids seem to be about like 2 or 3 years old. They were like bigger, you know, toddler type kids. They weren't like little babies or anything like that. So they walk in together. Like, the customer service desk is like near the front of the store. Like, you walk through the door and you're gonna come right past the customer service desk to get wherever. So I wasn't really helping anybody at the time. I was just looking around because the lady, my, you know, coworker was on, the one that was training me was on the register. So I went, you know, I was just standing there looking around, you know, whatever. Dude and his girl, like, the girl, she has like a buggy with the kids in it, and she goes to like the section of the store where like our baby stuff is. Mind you, the buggy is empty besides the children. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing weird about that. Like, of course they're gonna go buy stuff. But the guy has a Walmart bag. The guy comes over to the register, and my coworker has, you know, it was like a couple people ahead of him that she helped, and then she had to go do something. So I was left with like the next 2 customers, and the guy was like after the other people. So he comes up and he's like, I have these ties, I got them as a gift and they don't fit. And I mean, you know, I'm not a guy, I don't wear ties, so I don't really know how tie sizing and stuff works, but I assume after, you know, seeing a lot of ties in my lifetime, I always assume that ties don't have like set sizes, you know. I always assume that ties were kind of like one size fits all, maybe, you know, or that's what I'm assuming. Like, I don't know because I don't wear them, so I don't really know about ties, but I just kind of assume they would be like a one size fits all type of deal, you know, not too, you know, unless it was like a child's tie, a kid's tie, and an adult tie, and then I would see like discrepancies in size with that, whatever. So I'm like, sir, do you have a receipt? And he's like, no, it was a gift. I'm like, okay, so I don't know how to handle returns without that are gifts that don't, you know, have receipts. So I call over the coworker, and she's like, okay. And she asked him, like, sir, do you have a receipt? And he's like, no, it was a gift. And she was like, so what's wrong with them? And he's like, they don't fit. Okay. He has like an attitude. And it's like, okay. So my coworker, she's like, well, I'm sorry, sir, we can't do a return for this. And he's like, why not? And she's like, sir, well, it's not in our policy to do a return for that. You don't have a receipt, and you said it was a gift, and we don't do gift registries unless it's for a baby shower or a wedding or anniversary, stuff like that, you know, not birthday gift, you know. So he's like, well, I want to speak to a manager. She was like, okay. She goes and gets like our guest services like team lead or whatever, and they get like the guest services team lead to come over, and she was like a Jamaican lady, and I have stories about her too, but that's a different story. So, you know, she's like, sir, what can I help you with? And he's like, why can't I return these? And she's like, sir, we don't have a receipt and we're not allowed to do that. So he got mad, he got pissed off. He's like, that's BS. Now mind you, I'm standing behind them as they handle this. His wife or girlfriend, whatever she is, has come around into the line. She's like about 3 or 4 people behind him. She now has toys in the cart with the kids. I'm like, okay, she's gonna buy some toys, you know. He, you know, as they're handling him, she's looking at him. She's like, oh my gosh, she's, you know, she's looking and she's like making faces and stuff. She looks kind of nervous or whatever. And so, you know, she leaves, you know, he leaves mad and goes out the door. So she's talking to the woman, you know, the next people come to the line, and she's talking to, you know, the woman, like his girlfriend or whatever. She's talking to like this old woman in line. She's playing with kids, and the woman's like asking her like, oh, how old are they? Like, oh, you know, are they, you know, how many kids do you have? Is that it? And she's like, oh yeah, it's only 2. And they were 2 and 3. Like I said, they looked about 2 or 3, and that they were like, that's how old they were. So my coworker goes, you know, back, and, you know, she goes back to helping, and we go, you know, I'm doing the next 2 people, and the lady, the girlfriend, comes to my register, and she's like, oh, I got these toys, and I got these toys from a baby shower, and they, like, I don't know what she was saying, but basically she was like, we don't want them, we got them, you know. I was like, okay, even though I know she did not come to the store with those. So I called my coworker back over, and my coworker's like, okay, we can do that. And, you know, I'm like, well, they didn't pay for that. And so she let her get like a refund, and she did it on a gift card because they couldn't give her cash because she didn't have a receipt. So after they leave and our line kind of, you know, clears up, my coworker, she's like, thank you for telling me about that guy, because we caught him. He's been stealing from different, you know, stores in the area, like our branch of store. He's been stealing from our store, you know, like all throughout the tri-state area, he and his girlfriend. She was like, I know that woman is his girlfriend, but assets protection, they already have her. They're gonna get them as soon as they go out because they already have outstanding warrants and stuff. So we just had to handle it like that so it wouldn't be a big deal, but they're handling. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I mean, it was weird because this guy had been stealing ties and stuff, and he was mad because he couldn't get a refund. It was crazy. Like, it was, I didn't know how to handle it, but I was like, I guess I handled it pretty good, I guess, whatever. My third story is about some old people. These old people, like, it was like an older man, it was like an old man and his wife. They came to my register one morning. It was like after I had been working there for a while, and I was on the register myself, and this older couple came in, and we had a sale on the 12 packs of sodas and stuff, like Coke products. And this old man and his wife come to the register, and they have like 4, 5, maybe even 6. No, actually they had like 8 crates of like Cokes, like Cokes and Sprites and stuff. And I was ringing them up or whatever, and they were like, oh, these are supposed to be like $4 for 4. I was like, okay. I was like, well, sir, it's coming up that they are like, the price has been knocked down to $4 for each one of these when they're normally like $6. And he was like, well, no, that's not what it's supposed to be. The sign back there says that it's supposed to be $4 for 4 of them. And, you know, I mean, you can go back there and look. I can go back and take you back there. It's like, well, I'll just get somebody to come over and check it for me. Sometimes the computer doesn't read like sales and stuff. I understand. I worked Black Friday, and there was like Ninja blenders that people were trying to get for $99, and the computer wasn't catching the deal, even though it was in the circular and everything. So, you know, nobody was really on the front end that day to help. So I ended up calling over this guy. He was a cashier, but he also worked at Starbucks in the store. So he comes over, and, you know, he's like, I'll help you with whatever you need. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I was like, well, they said that the, you know, sodas were supposed to be $4 each, but in the circular it doesn't say that. And the guy's like, okay. He's like, well, I'll send somebody back there to check. But, and the person was like, oh no, it's $4 for 4 of them. And the old man was like, well, it doesn't say that. And the guy was like, well, I'm sorry, sir, that's, you know, what it says, and I can't do that. I don't have the ability to give it to you for a different price. So the old man like got mad, and he was like, well, I don't want it, and we're never coming back here again. It's rude. Like, if the customer says it's something, you're supposed to do an override. You're supposed to give me the discount. It's like, no, we're not supposed to, because we will get in trouble, because only the supervisors have the ability to do discounts and stuff. And they sometimes have to even call corporate to be like, can we do this? So the guy, like, I mean, the guy wasn't a supervisor. He was just another cashier. He was like, well, we can get somebody to come over here for you, and they can talk to you. And the guy's like, no, just take it back. We don't want it, and we're never coming back here again. So it's like, okay, you know, and the guy was like, okay, I'm sorry about that, sir. You know, and he was just like, that's ridiculous. I've never been, this store always honors guest inquiries about prices. If I said that if it says it's supposed to be this price, it's supposed to be this price. It's like, no, you didn't read it correctly. So he got mad, and he was like asking me, what's his name? What's his name? I'm gonna call corporate on him. And I was like, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know, because I really didn't know his name. I still don't know what his name was to this day. I just saw him around the store, and I mean, I was like, I don't want to be responsible for somebody losing their job because this old man can't read. Like, I'm not gonna be responsible for that, you know. So it was crazy. They were overreacting and acting crazy, just doing crazy stuff, and I don't know. It made me feel bad, because like, if this guy loses his job because these crazy old people that can't read, I'm gonna feel so bad. Oh goodness. My worst story from working here was a couple of nights before Christmas. I think it was like the Sunday before Christmas 2015. And this guy came through the line with his mom and his daughter. He was like a middle-aged white guy. His mom's like an older woman, and his daughter was like probably a couple years older than me. She had to be about 23, 24. They come through my line, and the line has been kind of crazy that day. Like I said, it's the Sunday before Christmas, and you know, it's kind of at night. It's like in the evening. He comes through my line, and he has a huge cart full of stuff. He has so much stuff. Like, he has gift boxes, like the gift boxes that you like have to fold up yourself, and wrapping paper, and he has food. He also has like produce and just boxes of stuff. He just had a bunch of crazy stuff in his cart. So I'm the type of person, I like to take things, and why am I rocking? I like to put similar items with similar items, because I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. I don't like to overfill bags, because I don't want somebody to walk out with their bag and drop their stuff and then be like, oh, well, she put too much heavy stuff in there, which they do. So this guy, every time I was putting stuff in the bag, and one thing about working at this particular place with the bagging system, the bags are like right at our like area where our register is. And we put the stuff in the bag as it comes on the belt. If you pull off a bag and you don't pull off the right way, you're going to mess up all the bags. And all the bags are going to come off. They're going to fall on the floor if you don't do it right. So don't touch the bags at this particular place. And if you've ever worked at this particular place, because I seen somebody else's video and I knew exactly where they worked, when they described it, I was like, oh, you're one of us. Anyway, this guy, every time I'm putting this stuff in the bag, I would like put bags aside if I knew that certain items needed to go in this bag. If I knew there was more stuff that looked like this, that was the same thing, I wanted to put them in the same bag. Every time I'd bag his stuff, he'd snatch the bag off, take the stuff out, put it in a different bag. It's like, okay. Every time I put something in the bag, he'd snatch it out, put it in a different bag. I was getting annoyed with him doing that. I was like, oh my God, let me just chill. So he had some bell peppers and he had some mushrooms that come in the container. I put the mushrooms in the bag first. I put the bell peppers on top. He yanks them out, puts the mushrooms in one bag by themselves, and puts the bell pepper in a bag by itself. I said, okay. He had some bananas. He had bananas. Bananas. He had bananas and a pack of gum. A little tiny pack of Trident. Because I saw he was, every time I put stuff in a bag, I saw that he was taking it out doing his own way. I said, sir, do you mind if I put this gum in the bag with the bananas? He's like, no, usually you don't put chemicals and other items like that in a bag with produce. I'm sorry, I don't know, maybe I missed the memo, but when did the pack of gum become a chemical? Mind you, this wasn't a pack of gum with sharp corners that could like puncture your bananas. He snatches it out of my hand and puts it in another, and I'm like, okay. Every time I was doing something, he was just complaining like, oh, you know, normally you put things like this in the bottom of the cart. I'm like, dude, you have a lot of stuff in the bottom of your cart. I cannot put these big bottles of like whatever in the cart when you already have stuff in the cart. Your cart is full. If you wanted another one, you should have got another cart. So he was just being an asshole, complaining about everything. His daughter, she was on her phone. She was just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know, and the mom, she was standing back there. She was like shaking her head because I could tell they could deal with him. They dealt with him on a daily basis. He was an asshole. And he just really pissed me off. And I was just annoyed with the way that he was acting, like treating me like I was, you know, under him, beneath him, inferior, you know, acting like I didn't know how to do my job, like trying to school me on stuff that just was, you know, not even necessary. I was just ready for him to get away from me. So I just like scanned his stuff and rung it up, and I was like, you have a great day. You know, I was very tight with it. I was pissed. I want him away from me. I was like, take your damn receipt, get out of my face, get away from my register. And he's gonna be like, and you have a Merry Christmas. I'm like, if you don't get the hell away from my register, I will stab you. Like, he pissed me off. So, I mean, the rest of the people, I was, you know, because the way he acted about the way I was bagging stuff, like, I could see if I put a bottle of bleach in the bag with, like, bread. Or I put, like, air freshener in a bag with your bread. You know, stuff like that that has scent that comes out that's gonna, like, you know, impermeate other, you know, foods and stuff. Like, I could see that, but me putting simple things in a bag with like items, like, you getting mad about that, like, I didn't understand. So that day I was asking people, I was like, do you mind if I put this in this buggy? You know, if you mind if I put this in this bag, because I just had somebody like acting crazy with me and I'm not trying to go through that again. So he was probably my worst customer that I ever had when I was working at that job. He was ignorant. And then I had this one lady that she had like a cart full of picture frames, because we had a good deal on picture frames. She had like over 120 picture frames, and I was scanning them and putting them in the cart, and she was reaching over to, I think I had a pin on the register, like the keyboard, because at this job it was like a keyboard register. At my last job it was like touchscreen. And there's like a button, I can't remember what it's called, but it'll like cancel the entire transaction if you click it. And she reached over to grab the pen to sign her check, and she hit the button when she was moving it. And I turn and I look at the computer as everything's like disappearing off the screen, like I was like, oh my God. And I was trying to go back and it deleted the entire transaction, so I had to go back and do everything over again. I was like, oh my goodness. And this guy and his like mom were behind me, were behind her, and they're like, oh my god, what is she doing? She's so slow. Like, oh my god, oh my god. And stuff like that aggravates me. Like, there are like 12 other registers open. Really, there was like 8 other registers open. If you feel like I'm not doing a great job, you can always go to another one and do it yourself. Okay, this is something I could not handle, that I could not control, you know. So to get mad at me and get irritated with me, but the woman was very nice. She's like, I'm so sorry, I did not mean to do that, I'm sorry. And she helped me scan everything, and we got it done just like that. But that was probably my worst day. I was ready to go home that day. It was the same day with that guy. It was a hectic Sunday for me. I was just ready to go home. It was like nighttime too. But yeah. So this is like my horror stories from working that job in particular. This job I really did not like. It was probably my worst out of the two. I have other reasons why it was horrible. That's another video. I'll let you know why I hated working that job. And I do have other horror stories from the job that I just quit. So if you guys want to hear those, let me know. I am more than happy to make a video about that. And again, you guys, thank you for sticking with my channel. I know I haven't been consistent, but I'm trying to get better about that. But thank you again for watching. If you have your retail horror stories or weird things that happen, leave a comment below. Oh goodness, my voice keeps getting so. Leave a comment below. Let me know how it's going for you, and I'll be happy to read those. Or if you have your own video, let me know and I'll go check it out. But thanks again for watching. Bye.